The sun was already sinking behind the jagged hills when Elias Mercer rode back toward his lonely ranch, the sky painted in bruised purples and burning gold, the kind of sunset that made a man feel both blessed and cursed at the same time. His horse moved slow, tired from a long day of chasing cattle that didn't want to be found, and Elias himself felt heavier than the saddle beneath him, carrying years of silence, loss, and a kind of emptiness that had settled deep into his bones ever since his wife died 3 winters ago, leaving him with nothing but wind, dust, and memories that refused to fade. He expected nothing when he reached the gate, just the usual creak of wood, the hollow stillness of a place that had forgotten laughter, but as he pushed it open and rode into the yard, something felt wrong, or maybe not wrong, just different, like the air itself was holding its breath. He dismounted slowly, his boots crunching against dry earth. And that's when he saw her, curled near the side of the barn, barely visible in the dim light, her body thin and trembling, her skin marked with dust and hardship, her long, dark hair tangled like it had been fighting the wind for days, maybe longer. And for a moment Elias just stood there, frozen, unsure if she was real or some cruel trick his lonely mind had conjured. She didn't move when he stepped closer, didn't even flinch when his shadow fell over her. And that scared him more than anything else, because a person who didn't react, a person who didn't care, was a person who had already given up. He quickly removed his coat, heavy and worn but still warm, and gently draped it over her shoulders, careful not to startle her, though part of him wondered if she could even feel surprise anymore. Her eyes opened slowly, dark and deep like a storm that had long since passed but left destruction behind, and she looked at him, not with fear, not with anger, but with something far more unsettling, nothing at all. "You're safe here," Elias said quietly, his voice rough from disuse, the words feeling strange on his tongue, as if he had forgotten how to speak to another soul. And for a second he thought she might not understand, but her gaze flickered just slightly, as if a small spark had been struck somewhere deep inside her. He helped her to her feet, noticing how weak she was, how every step seemed like a battle she wasn't sure was worth fighting, and he led her into the house, into a space that hadn't held another presence in years, where dust clung to the corners and silence had made itself at home. He lit a lantern, the soft glow filling the room, and guided her to sit by the fire he quickly built, the flames crackling to life as if they too had been waiting for a reason to burn again. He brought her water first, then food, simple things, nothing fancy, but enough to remind a body how to live, and she accepted them slowly, cautiously, like someone who had learned not to trust even the kindness of strangers. Hours passed without many words, just the quiet rhythm of survival being stitched back together piece by fragile piece, and when she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper, carrying the weight of pain and loss that didn't need explaining. She told him her name was Atsa, that she had come from far away, that everything she had known had been taken from her, her people scattered, her home destroyed, her spirit broken to the point where she no longer saw a reason to keep walking, until somehow her feet had brought her here, to a place she hadn't chosen but perhaps needed. Elias didn't ask too many questions, not because he didn't care, but because he understood that some wounds didn't need words. They needed time, and maybe a little bit of quiet kindness. In the days that followed, something began to change, not all at once, not in some grand, dramatic way, but slowly, like the first green shoots pushing through dry soil after a long drought. Atsa started to eat more, to sit a little straighter, to look out the window with something other than emptiness in her eyes. And Elias found himself speaking more too, telling stories of the land, of the cattle, of the storms that rolled through and left everything cleaner somehow, as if nature itself believed in second chances. He showed her how to tend the fire, how to care for the horses, how to move through the world with purpose. And in return, she showed him things he had long forgotten, how to listen to the wind, how to notice the small signs of life that most people ignored, how to sit in silence without feeling alone. There were moments when the past tried to claw its way back in, when shadows fell across her face and Elias could see the weight she still carried. But now there was something else there too, something fragile but growing hope. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon once more, Atsa stood outside the house, her face turned toward the fading light, and for the first time since he had found her, she smiled. Not a big, carefree smile, but a small, genuine one that spoke of survival, of resilience, of a reason to keep going even when the world had tried to take everything away. Elias watched from the doorway, feeling something shift inside him as well, a heaviness lifting just enough to let a little light in. And he realized that maybe he hadn't just saved her. Maybe she had saved him too. Because sometimes, when life strips everything away and leaves you standing in the dust with nothing but pain and silence, all it takes is one unexpected moment, one act of kindness, one human connection to remind you that there is still something worth holding on to, something worth fighting for, something worth living for. And if this story stirred something inside you, if it made you feel even a fraction of the hope that grew between two broken souls in the middle of nowhere, then stay with this journey, because stories like this aren't just about the past, they're about the strength we all carry even when we think it's gone, and the quiet miracles that can happen when we least expect them.